6 ships have turned around because of its blockade of Iranian ports. With the blockade now in its second day, there is very, very little traffic entering and leaving Iranian ports, and just a handful of tankers and other carriers have passed through the Strait of Hormuz. One ship that apparently did go through earlier today is a US-sanctioned Chinese-owned tanker. It is the Rich Starry, and you can see its path here in animation. That information comes from ship tracking website marinedata.com. Rosemary Kelanic is the director of the Middle East program at Defense Priorities. She's also the author of Black Gold and Blackmail, Oil and Great Power Politics. And we've had her on so much. Literally, Rosemary, I don't know what we would do without you. We've had you on.
Oh,
So it's like literally,
Thank
it's
you.
almost every other day, I feel like. I think what's interesting about this move by the US yesterday, it's almost as though the US is now supporting and implementing the same maritime violations, right, that the US usually is not supposed to sort of violate. And that is part of the issue here. The hypocrisy element of this is what I would like to get your take on.
Yeah, I mean, the hypocrisy element is significant, and it's not helping the United States in terms of global opinion, in terms of how allies look at us and adversaries. The United States, basically back till the days of its founding, has stood for freedom of navigation and freedom of the seas. And we are compromising that principle by putting this blockade into effect. Even more than that, though, there's real questions about whether the blockade will work or will prove counterproductive.
And just in terms of what Iran has to lose from all of this, you know, by several reports, just the idea that Iran is not going to be able to export oil from its ports. You have, yes, you know, the lost benefit of that. Financially, it's going to cost Iran a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars a day potentially, but also this idea of storing the oil that is not being exported is also going to be a massive problem as well. How will it affect Iran economically, and how long will it actually take for them to really feel sort of the storage capacity issue weighing on them?
Yeah, so some experts have suggested it might take as little as 5 or 6 days for the storage capacity to have a problem. And, you know, really the issue is when countries are pumping oil out of the ground, they want to keep that oil flowing, because if you have to shut off the pump for some reason, that can affect the pressure underground that helps the oil come out, and it can damage fields significantly and sometimes permanently in terms of lessening the overall amount of oil that can come out of the field during its lifespan. So countries don't want to stop producing if they can help it. That said, it's not clear that Iran would rather make larger concessions to the US or shut in some of its production. That's what Trump is sort of banking on. He's banking on, okay, in a week's time, Iran's going to shut in production, then they're going to fold because they don't want to do that. But it could be that the case that Iran thinks that its interests are so, you know, paramount here that it's willing to shut in production and take the potential loss from that just to resist the United States longer.
What is if this war sort of continues for another month or so, I mean, what is going to be the real sort of global economic impacts? I mean, obviously we've seen a lot in terms of gas prices already, but when this war first started, there was a lot of oil already at sea. But now with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz going on for 6 weeks or so now, you know, the ramifications for Africa, which I talk a lot about, also Asia as well, that depends heavily on oil passing through that strait. Just explain to us how bad things could really get beyond where things already are if this blockade by the US and by Iran continues for much longer.
Yeah, so things could get really bad. I mean, we've seen some of the first, ramifications of this showing up in Asia because they're the places that are closest to the Middle East. And so shipping from the Middle East takes a shorter period of time. And so like disruptions in shipping shows up there first, also in Europe. And then it's spreading to Africa. And then in time, the Western Hemisphere will also be affected even more. And not just by prices going up, but potentially by some physical shortages as economies sort of adjust to this. So if this goes on for several months at a time, eventually economies are going to adjust, oil prices are going to be higher, you're not going to have shortages because price mechanisms in the market will ration supply, but lots of people's pocketbooks are going to be hurt. In the shorter run, though, we might still see this uneven supply problem.
Are there any, and forgive the question, are there any legal ramifications for the US imposing a blockade on an international shipping waterway? Or could there be?
Yeah, so it really, there could be. Yeah, there could be. I mean, they're using the waterway to implement it, but they're technically not blocking the waterway from all ships. They're blocking Iranian ports. So the blockade is specifically against Iran. Where the legal issues come into play is, are they going to seize everything that's coming and going from Iran, including humanitarian items? So usually in a blockade, food, medicine, things of that nature, essentials for civilian life, those are supposed to be allowed to continue, right? Whether the US actually intercepts and stops that kind of trade is an open question at this point. The US has said it's going to stop oil, potentially would also stop weapons, presumably. But when you start to get into just straight up humanitarian civilian items, that's when you run into legal problems and political problems. So, Iran, I wouldn't be surprised if Iran tries to send some ships with medicine to test the blockade and see what the United States does and put pressure on the United States.
Right, Rosemary Kelanic, live for us. Thank you so much. All right, still to come, how oil prices are responding as the world waits to see if Iran and the US will agree to more peace talks. That's just ahead.